What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you come into the channel and check out the content. And with that being said, I want to speak on some statements that Dwight Howard made, right, on a podcast. I'm not sure what podcast he was on, whose podcast he was on, but Dwight Howard, played in the NBA years, played with Orlando. He played with the Atlanta Hawks, played with the Lakers. He played with a few teams in the league. And I thought that Dwight Howard, in my opinion, I used to like Dwight Howard, right? In my opinion, like one of the most athletic centers that I ever seen play in the game. I thought he would have had a better career. Not that he had a bad career, but I thought that Dwight Howard was going to, carry his team, especially when he was in Orlando. I thought he was going to carry them to a championship, right? But he didn't, and not that it was his fault, but he didn't get to take them to a championship when he was down in Orlando. But with that being said, Dwight Howard was on a podcast, and he made a statement that the GOAT conversation is political. And he said, basically, if you are not a player who is with Nike, like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, who else did he mention? Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and LeBron James. He said that basically you because it's political, that you are not even in the GOAT conversation, right? And so I gotta be honest, I never looked at it like that. That never even occurred to me that like there might be a like Nike could be really pushing that type of narrative, along with the NBA. But once he said that, it just made me think, right? Because number one, like I said, all of those guys was with Nike or are with Nike. I know that Kobe at one time, I think he was with Converse. Kobe was with Adidas. Kobe was with Adidas, and then once he left Adidas and then went with Nike. And then then Kobe was in that conversation, once he got to Nike. And as you know, Mike has been with Nike from day one, and Mike has the most popular shoes. Those Air Jordans are the most popular, not just the shoes, but that whole line of merch that Mike have through Nike. I mean, Mike's merch really just sells more than anybody, probably everybody else's combined. Like Mike is just his Mike's stuff is just flying off the shelf basically, and this is like 20 something years after after he has played, his merch is really still just flying off the shelf. But anyway, when you think about it, it do make some sense what Dwight said, as far as like it could be political, right? And I remember recently when during the Olympics, USA versus during the Olympics, they did the drug test, right? And some people kind of, they did a drug test, and they drug tested Steph Curry and Kevin Durant. And I heard somebody make a comment. They said, well, if anybody should have been drug tested, it should have been LeBron James. And then somebody said, well, LeBron James is with Nike. And so, that probably has something to do with the fact that, he didn't get drug tested. And I was like, oh, okay. Maybe Nike had to kind of pull where LeBron James could get around something like that, because Kevin Durant got to be one of the boniest ball players in the league. Then you got Steph Curry, who Steph Curry is in really good shape, but not compared to LeBron James. You look at Steph Curry and then you look at LeBron James. Anybody with any good sense is going to want to. And that's not to say that LeBron James was doing something, but definitely you want to test LeBron James, but they didn't test him. And the guy said, well, LeBron is with Nike. So I never really thought about that. So that kind of makes me, and I always felt like these like heroes and these guys were made anyway. And so it would stand to reason, like if these celebrity basketball players or these GOAT basketball players was made, then Nike could have that kind of leverage. If they have enough leverage along with the NBA to make these guys, into the celebrities and into the GOAT or so-called GOATs that they are, they also have the type of pull to control the narrative around them, or control who gets somebody said, who gets drug tested, who don't, because it's all orchestrated. I made a video recently where I said that Michael Jordan was, I think his career also was orchestrated. Kobe Bryant to a certain extent. I think all of their careers were orchestrated. It's not like, I don't think that it happened organically like they would want you to believe. I think the way was cleared for Mike and Kobe to have the kind of success that they had. So it's not far-fetched to think that Nike is running things as far as like who is in the GOAT conversation. And if you think about it from a business perspective, like if all of the Nike athletes are running, in the GOAT conversation, and you don't have anybody from Reebok, you don't have anybody from Under Armour or Adidas or Converse in there, Nike is just across the board. Nike is across the board just monopolizing everything. The GOAT conversation, who is in the, like who's the best player in the league, so that it could be quite possible, because I think that in business, people don't leave anything to chance. Just imagine like if Steph Curry was the GOAT. They named Steph Curry the GOAT. So if Steph Curry is the GOAT of this era, then that would be, Under Armour could use that to their, that would boost up Under Armour. And not only could they boost up Under Armour, that would boost up Under Armour, but Under Armour could use that as leverage to bring on more players to their, to their brand. So there's a brand war going. It could be a brand war going on between Nike, Under Armour, and all the rest of those brands. But Nike just got a foothold on everything. So their guys, are gonna definitely be, if they can control it, their guys are gonna be at the top. So what Dwight Howard said could make sense from a business standpoint, and politically, because like I said, these guys in big business do not leave anything to chance. So it could be, there could be some legitimacy to what Dwight Howard said. It's just that, like I said, I never looked at it like that. I never really paid any attention that, who everybody is, all the top ball players are affiliated with Nike. I just would, I would have thought, well, Nike is a popular shoe, but everybody in Nike, is at the top of the heap. And Nike can use that as leverage to go and get anybody they want and continue for their brand to just to stay on top. So I think that it could be some legitimacy to Dwight Howard said, it's all about Nike. And Nike and the NBA, they are basically in bed together, as far as like business is concerned. So it could be true. It could be true. They're not gonna just let Under Armour step in there or Reebok come back, or Adidas or Converse. It's Nike. They want to monopolize. They want to dominate. So when I look at it like that, like I said, I can see Nike monopolizing and like just across the board, just trying to wipe everybody out or put everybody on a level below them, and Nike just dominate. So, and once Michael Jordan signed with Nike, that really just put Nike, above everybody. So that, Mike, that's probably why Nike just has so much of an allegiance to Mike, because Mike was there from day one, and that's what propelled, and that Mike is what helped separate Nike from Converse and Adidas, So yeah, I think Dwight Howard could have a point. So that's my take on it, though. Make sure to like and subscribe. With that being said, don't forget to leave a comment, and I will check you all out in the next episode. Peace.